Table flip. Jake!
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Welcome Paradise Academy, Season 2, Episode 8, Another Day in Paradise. This is our Kids on Bikes RPG happening every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain. If you're wondering why everybody's cursing me out at the beginning, it's because I told them there was an Easter egg in the opening titles, and they all missed it.
Maybe there's not even an Easter egg. I don't even believe
I thought about saying
100%.
that I just told you there was an Easter egg, but there isn't. It's been there since the beginning of Season 2. I haven't changed it since then. There were actually technically two. The first was obvious, is when Welcome to Paradise, Michigan changes to Paradise Academy right at the end. But there's another one, very subtle, right in the middle. Actually, I'll say it's near the end of the opening credits. It's not that big a deal, but it is in a way. So anyway, if you want to know what kind of things are warranting even putting Easter eggs in the opening credits, then you should be watching all of this show all the way back to Season 1 through all 31 episodes and get caught up on Season 2. Because there's a lot going on from episode to episode. We'll get into that in just a moment with a recap. And then get into the game proper. First, a couple of quick notes. First off, since I have to remember to apply these, if you look over in the corner over there, upper right-hand corner, up above Tomiko and M, you will see the Terrain Treats Domain Pops, +1 to fun. Those are our domain pops or domain dice for this game. They are a way that you, the audience, can have an impact on the game simply by subscribing, resubscribing, gifting subs, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5, all of that stuff. Such as 3 people have subscribed, or rather resubscribed, which means I owe you 3 of those pops.
Oh,
so you guys are now
boy.
at 50. I don't know if that's the highest you've been, but that's definitely not the highest Laz has been.
Hey.
Oh. Hey yo. Yeah, shout out to my friend Doghammer13 in the chat, who recently has undertaken catching up to all of our streams, and is constantly texting me with theories and virtually shaking his fist at most recently Rosie.
Excuse me?
Go back to the episodes when Billy turned into a wolf and you were just standing on the beach skipping rocks.
I could see that being frustrating. Indeed.
All right, so a little treat, since there's just been a cheer and I have to change the number here. Whenever you use your domain pops, of course you guys know this, whenever you use the domain pops, of course I have to make them go away. In this case, they do this.
Yay!
You can see more of that whenever they use them to add domain pops to their dice rolls, or if they want to spend 5 of them to make themselves or somebody else roll on the D100 mystery grab bag table of 100 things from really good to really bad that can happen to their characters. Some of which I'll say there are a handful of things that people have gotten from the roll table that are still floating around out there that they have no idea whatsoever what it means. So the next thing, just a quick reminder of our schedule. Just 2 days ago, we had our latest session of Sky Metal Iron Gods, which is our D&D 5e game that Em and I are in, along with Sarah and Karen, DM'd by Vi. It is an amazing game. We had a really good session, and Em introduced quite possibly the most adorable character that I have ever had the honor of playing with. So you'll want to tune in every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern to check that out.
What's that? More adorable than Rolo?
It's Varys,
Yes, I'll say
the
it.
rat folk bard, who is just absolutely adorable. I think Rollo
I gotta go check this out.
and Varys could be very good friends.
I'll have to go check that out.
And then, of course, on Mondays, we've been off for a couple weeks. We will be returning next week with the Scribes and Scrolls campaign, which is our Pathfinder 2E campaign happening on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be back for that.
Hey,
And then,
Jake, real quick, we are in the wrong windows. I just noticed.
oh, look at that.
Sorry.
I'm like, what's going on?
Something in the chat.
You guys are all over.
My
What
bad.
are you? I can't take you guys
Sorry,
anywhere. Get in your proper
I'm a
rooms.
little less subtle than Jeremy. Jeremy was trying to.
I was trying.
Gary's like, the only way to do this is just interrupt him. He's not going to notice otherwise.
Sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
It's probably wise to ignore the side chat, Jake.
Often I do because I can't keep up with that and talking and all that other stuff. So anyway, let's see. Now that my train of thought is completely derailed,
I'm
going to move into one of our last announcements, which is, of course, we always do a mental health check-in before every one of our games because mental health is extremely important. We want to make sure that you know that you are enough. The world is a better place because you are in it. You may be struggling, or maybe you're not struggling. Maybe you just need somebody to talk to, or you should find somebody to talk to. If you are somebody who needs somebody to talk to and you are not sure where to go to find the help, to find a professional to talk to, you can come into our chat and you can type !help at any time, and a couple of URLs will pop up. Findahelpline.com, or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise Academy.
Yay.
The last 7 sessions has been the first day of the new iteration that you all have found yourself in. And a lot has happened on this first day. This first day has been a combination of you all getting used to your new surroundings, your new school. Some of you are struggling with the combination of memories from the old iteration and the new iteration. Some of you are choosing which set of memories you want to focus on. Some are resisting a little bit the new iteration. Some are adapting fully into it. But nonetheless, there has been conflict all around. We've seen Coop accidentally kill a kid, but somehow time rewound, and the kid was perfectly fine. We've seen Billy introduced to some new friends in the twins, Victor and Victoria, the Van Houtens from a wealthy family, originally from the Grand Rapids area, that have recently moved to town. Oak has had some interesting interactions with some bullies and also with the mysterious watch, and is apparently finding himself straddling 3 different simultaneous timelines at various times. Laz got blamed for a goat in the vice principal's office and has been sentenced to worse than detention, to work on the Midnight Masquerade dance coming up in a few weeks, helping Claire Spicer prepare for the dance, as well as actually working at the dance. Jessica has not been entirely herself, you could say, over the last few hours. Jessica's been a bundle of angst isn't the right word. I think just straight up anger has been rising, in particular at Laz, but also at other forces. And of course, let's not forget Rosie, who was crossing the parking lot, was hit by a pickup truck. Many of her bones shattered, her sports career seeming to have ended. But by the time they got to the hospital in Traverse City and began doing scans and x-rays, Rosie was perfectly fine. All injuries were healed. There's obviously been a lot more things going on, but I definitely wanted to touch on some of the high points. And of course, most recently, Rosie going home after the stint at the hospital and finding out that she was actually okay. Billy going home to find that they were entertaining at their home, the Van Houtens, the twins and the family themselves. Coop arriving home, briefly talking with his mom's boyfriend Jake, before hearing a noise in the kitchen, finding a minuscule James, the crocagator, bringing pizza to a mysterious guest waiting in the room, who is none other than Templeton. Jessica had some harsh words for her father, who recently came to town to get mom to sign some divorce papers. And by the way, he's marrying Becky, and wants Jessica to come to the wedding. And Oak, studying the mysterious watch and conspiracy theories. After he went to sleep, Hines took the watch, said, "You shouldn't have this," and walked away. And finally, Laz, who broke into the vice principal's office to steal back the bar of silver. Upon finding it, along with his lighter, turned around to find Dr. K standing there, who immediately says, "You don't belong here." Pointed something at Laz, and Laz, you immediately lost consciousness. And that's where we're going to pick up tonight. We're going to pick up where we left off with a handful of these things, and I think it makes the most sense to start with Coop, since it's still you're one of the ones that's still going to be that evening of that first day, as you come into the room and you find sitting on your bed none other than Templeton, who says, "Oh, good, it's so good to see a familiar face," as James brings over one of the pieces of pizza for Templeton, who begins readily chomping away at the pizza. What do you do?
Coop comes in and closes the door behind him so that boyfriend Jake doesn't. Jake the boyfriend doesn't think that Coop's losing his mind up in his room. So he's gonna close the door and he's gonna go and kind of sit on one side of the bed and be like, "Yeah, you go ahead and eat up, Tempy. I've got questions."
As you're looking at Templeton, who right now is just hungrily devouring this pizza, you can't help but notice that Templeton seems thinner than he was.
Oh.
He doesn't look like he's been eating very well, which could account for why he has a ravenous appetite at the moment.
So where are you living now?
I don't know. As he's eating, you notice that he sort of shifts over and he's not talking out loud. He's now mentally communicating with you so that he can eat while still talking to you. And you see, as he continues to devour the pizza, you hear in your head, well, I'm not really settled in any place. I just suddenly found myself... Well, initially I thought I was in the lab again. When I saw all those green doors with brass handles, I was terrified. Then I realized there's way too many children here for it to be a laboratory. I found myself, I think, in your school.
Yeah, there's a lot of green doors and kids at school. That would make sense.
But I don't understand why I'm at your school and why you are all suddenly going to school.
We don't understand it either, Tempe. But oh my gosh, that means that you remember the other memories too, right?
I only have memories that I have. I remember you. I remember Lass and Rosie and Billy and Jessica and Ann and Oak. I remember Ashley Raven, Persephone, Algernon. And of course I remember James, although he was much bigger.
Oh man.
But
Yeah, there was
I don't know
things
what happened.
things are different here because we all have whole histories in our heads. And the memories from what really happened also. And it's very confusing. Did you know that Ashley Raven's the principal and she's Rosie's mom?
I'm not even sure what to do with that information.
It's really weird.
Don't make me pull out the PowerPoint presentation again.
Kamiko made a legit PowerPoint, several slides arguing why Templeton is not evil, and
It's in
the
the
jury's out.
It's in the Paradise Michigan Discord, in the public Paradise Michigan Discord. You want to check that
But-
out?
Even though things are different, it's not all bad.
and Coop reaches over and kind of scratches James's head.
Because James is back.
I'm very happy to see James. I connected with James, and it's how I found my way here. And then, by this point, in just this few moments, Templeton has completely devoured this piece of pizza. And James has been slowly munching on the other piece of pizza, and Templeton just kind of starts chewing on the crust at the other end of that. And James just sort of lets go of it and lets Templeton eat from that second piece of pizza. There's something else I don't understand, but I also think I'm happy about it. I don't...
What's that?
I haven't heard from Algernon.
Well, I haven't either, but do you remember Oak, the other little guy?
Yes, I said I remembered him.
He said he saw him in a vision. So he might still be around.
Hmm.
And I know Persephone's still around. She turned out to be really mean.
Question, Jake, real quick, because I was a little confused about this. Was Coop unconscious when Persephone wigged out and got the in her head?
Cut the whole,
No, you were conscious. You were in the process of being levitated, and she very much wanted you to be awake while she was going to rip your bones out of your
That's what
body.
I thought. Just
Yes.
making sure.
In fact, for just a moment, I need you to make a grit check.
Oh boy. All right. Grit is a D6. And that is a 3.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's not a pass or fail. You're setting the baseline for me.
Yeah, that's right. Low ball it, Jake. Low ball it.
I hit it. I hit it exactly, which means at the mention of Persephone, you do flash back to that moment back at Stapler House at the end of the first iteration, where you are being held aloft in the air, your hand is missing, and you feel as if all of your bones are being pulled away from each other. And then suddenly you drop to the floor as you are now looking up from the floor, and you see that Laz has just driven the fireplace poker into the top of Persephone's head. You watch as she falls to the ground and vanishes in a puff, and then you're right back sitting on the bed as Templeton has stopped eating and just looks up at you, and this time out loud says, "Oh no, I am so sorry." And you realize, in addition to that, just that memory, Templeton has momentarily
He saw
what you saw, but also saw kind of some of a little bit around the edges of that. He didn't see everything, but just in that moment while you were thinking about it and while you were mentally connected, Templeton saw it. It also kind of seems like it's pushed Templeton momentarily out of your mind.
Yeah.
Could
you see that, Tempe?
I did. That is horrible.
Laz saved my life.
That was very brave.
I haven't had a chance to thank him proper yet because it's been a really long first day.
I hope Laz is okay. Killed Persephone. But maybe not? You said that she's back.
She's back. I heard her in my head when I was at school. I'll recognize her voice anytime.
I'm not going to make you roll for this. This is your home, so I feel like I know as a kid, no matter what I was doing, I always had a little bit of my ear keyed in to listening for the creak of the steps if somebody was coming upstairs. And you hear the sound of footsteps coming up the stairs.
Oh.
And you know it's that last there's like a little turn near the top of the stairs, and it's those stairs that creak, which means the person coming up the stairs is almost there, and you hear them approaching your door. And then
Tempe, hide!
And I kind of put my blazer over him.
And then you hear,
oh god,
just a little light knocking on your door, and then the door opens lightly, and your mom pokes her head in.
oh,
Hi, Mom.
Hey, you how you doing, Penny? You have a good first day of school?
It was a really long day, Mom. But I got to try on the Bucky costume, and one of my friends got hurt, but she's okay.
Oh no.
And we had pizza after school.
Yeah, Jake told me that you told me all about, well, a little bit about. You didn't want to take the whole story away from you, but told me a little bit about the Bucky costume. You'll have to tell me more about it. Maybe over breakfast. It's getting kind of late.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Don't worry, I'll lights out in a few minutes.
could you please? And this time you see her looking at the foot of the bed where James is just sort of sitting there. James is now down like on all fours, and she just goes, "Can you please put him back in the terrarium? No, I don't like him walking around."
Yeah, I can do that. Sorry, Mom.
All right. Well, just wanted to come in and wish you a good night.
Okay, good night. I love you.
All right. Love you too. See you in the morning.
Oh my god.
And she closes the door, and we're going to change scenes. Laz. You see nothing at first. Your head hurts. You hear a squeaking sound, intermittent, and you feel a slight bit like you're moving. It sounds as if you are on some kind of a cart or gurney or something. It's the wheel that's squeaking. You try to open your eyes. It hurts to open your eyes. You see for a moment, that Dr. K is directly above you. You're just glancing up. It's like you're looking up and sort of upside down at Dr. K, and you see him kind of leaning over, pushing whatever this cart is. Dr. K's face is illuminated from the sides by an eerie green glow. You blink, and then you open your eyes and you see just off to the side of you something that's emitting this eerie green glow. It's hard to focus with this pain in your head, but the closest thing that you can immediately connect that this looks like, and it doesn't make sense, but it looks like a green Bacta-tank, like you saw Luke Skywalker submerged in after the Wampa attack in Empire Strikes Back. But it's glowing green, and you do see the silhouette of somebody floating inside this tank as it passes by. And then you see another one, and another one. And then the squeaking stops, and you glance over. You realize that you have stopped in front of another one of these tanks, and it's empty.
Oh no.
And that's when you wake up.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it's in the darkness here. Like, this particular pod is not activated yet. It's empty, so it's dark here, and that's where he first kind of opens his eyes and he looks up and he sees Oak, or Dr. K, but from this angle and in this light, at first, Laz only really kind of notices the similarities in his facial structure. And so he actually kind of blinks several times. Oak?
For clarification, and still going with what you just said, as you say the words Oak, the image around you sort of dissolves, and you hear that hollow sound of your voice saying the words Oak out loud in an empty room. When I say you woke up, I mean you have woken up from a dream. You are in your bed, in your room, the next morning.
Fucking like reaches up and like grabs the spot on his head that was just hurting. Kind of cringes, and he looks around his room just to make sure that this isn't just some kind of strange illusion or other fuckery, and that he is actually home.
There
he is. Speak of the devil.
Yeah, give me a moment. What is it that you would look around your room and try to lock your eyes onto that you would tell you whether or not this is really home?
I know exactly what it is. He looks up on the desk next to his stereo for the mixtape that he's in the middle of making.
As you kind of look around and your eyes settle into that, it takes a moment. And then you kind of sit up a little bit more and you see the stereo. You see the cassette inside the stereo. And you see next to it the empty cassette case. Next to that is the liner notes that have been pulled out, and your Sharpie sitting next to that where you've been writing down the names of the songs.
The mixtape is white, and it looks like it has said Bon Jovi "Slippery When Wet" on it, but most of that ink, most of that paint has been like wiped off with rubbing alcohol or nail polish remover or something like that. And he has gone in with like paint pens, and he's drawing like red stitching from like a baseball, like on the tape.
Very cool.
Wow.
So you're
Wow.
taping over Bon Jovi to make this mixtape?
I'm
Yeah.
more
I thought I
impressed
was
by
the-
that.
I support
than the
this.
mixtape.
I thought I was the only one that did that. I got in trouble because I taped over my sister's Bryan Adams tape. Uh-oh.
Setting.
What just
You just-
happened?
Oh, geez. Oh
That's-
God.
That's the best use of Scotch
I'm gone.
tape. Put it over the
Yes.
things.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
I used to tape over
It's
the
gonna be an
B sides
interesting
of the singles I didn't like.
So yeah, you've determined that you are in your room, you are awake, and you have no memory of how you got home last night.
He kind of like flops back on his bed and just kind of like lets the mixtape, like kind of, or the case to the mixtape kind of like fall onto the comforter next to him. And he kind of just stares at the ceiling for a minute, like, you know, the ceiling fan blades kind of going around. And then he shoots up out of bed again, and he runs over to try to find his backpack, to see if he can find, if he actually got at least his cigarettes and his lighter back.
As you run over to your desk where you would have your backpack sitting, you actually see, rather than sitting next to your desk, you see your empty backpack on one half of your desk. On the rest of your desk is laid out the entire contents of your backpack. And they're laid out as if somebody with extreme OCD had carefully organized every item to perfectly be in line with every other item. Similar shaped items from left to right and from top to bottom. It's arranged in size order. Amongst the things that are laid out on your desk is your lighter and the bar of silver. The cigarettes are not there. Of everything that you would expect otherwise to be in your backpack, it all seems to be there. There is one additional item. It is probably one of the smallest items. I imagine you probably had some loose change knocking around in the bottom of your backpack, and it's probably why it took you a moment to notice this. Because in the corner where all of the smaller items are arranged, there's a couple quarters, nickels, dimes, and right next to the dimes, just about the same size as a dime, is a silver disc with a hole in the middle and what looks like etching all around on the surface. If it wasn't for the etching, this would look like a small washer.
He kind of like flips it over in his hand with his finger. The fuck is this? He's gonna look for like a
Make me a
like
grit check as soon as you
glass.
touch it. Make me a
Oh,
grit check,
okay.
please.
Grit. Oh, that's my good one.
Oh God.
Well, 8.
What's your grit die?
D20.
Eight, you said?
8, correct.
All right. Failure or success. Okay. That is a fail.
All right.
As you pick this thing up to take a look at it, the second you put it in your hand, you immediately gasp for breath. You feel as though you're drowning. Your vision is completely covered in green. And as you reach out a fist, it bangs against glass. And you can just faintly see, distorted by the curve of the glass and the green liquid, you can see what looks to be the shape of Dr. K in his white lab coat looking in at you. He reaches up and presses something on the side, and you're back in your room. This just a split second this happened.
Okay.
I think there's another, like, this time involuntary, like, flop back onto his bed. And he kind of stays there wide-eyed now, staring at his ceiling. Again, that ceiling fan kind of going around the room. This time maybe even like shown with like a slight Dutch tilt, so it looks just a little weird, a little unsettling. What the fuck is going on? He kind of looks around to see if he can find this weird washer.
It's actually still in your hand.
He very hurriedly moves to get dressed, and as if he's ready to leave, and he kind of tucks that into his pocket.
All right, so you're able to quickly get dressed and head downstairs for breakfast or to head to school. As you head out your bedroom door, we're going to shift again to Rosie. You hear a knock on your bedroom door. And then, without waiting for an answer, Cal opens the door.
Jeez, Cal.
Hey.
What if I...
What?
Just...
Believe
could you
me, I
wait
am
for
not...
me to say come in?
You have... For some reason, somebody is here at 7:30 in the morning to see you.
What?
It's
Who?
a boy.
Rosie like squints and like jumps out of bed and hurries up and is putting on pants, and she like just fell asleep because we have established she did not sleep very well last night after everything, and she would I guess probably have like Paradise Bucks sweatpants on and just like a t-shirt, and because she hasn't even started getting ready for school yet, and she would go down and put her hat on because her hair's a mess and go down to the front door.
As you come down, and I kind of imagine, because you live on Stonehill in one of the nicer houses. You probably have stairs that go down into like a main area, but also stairs that come down into the kitchen. That's probably what you're used to coming down to. So you come down into the kitchen and you come through, heading towards where the front door and the foyer would be. And as you come around the corner, you see that there is indeed somebody standing there, but it's hard to see who it is because they're holding a vase that looks like it has 100 flowers in it, in primarily in reds and yellows, the colors of Paradise Academy, but you see some whites and a few other colors scattered around there.
Wow.
And they're just sort of standing there waiting.
Okay. Rosie would go to the door and hello, I think you're looking for me.
They seem to almost just startle and almost drop this vase of flowers.
Oh.
And they move them to the side, and you see that it is Dallas Rogers. And his eyes get wide when he sees you. Oh my God.
Dallas, hold on.
It's true.
Put the
How
flowers
are you
down.
walking?
Put the flowers down before you drop it and get glass all over the place.
These are for you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And they're huge, and like they kind of like a couple petals scatter as they sort of like hit each other and hit Rosie, and Rosie like puts them on like a little table just in the entryway, and she would go out on her porch where Dallas is standing and kind of shut the door.
Oh no,
and
he's inside the foyer.
Oh,
inside
he's in the
house.
foyer.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Khaled let him
Okay,
in, so you guys are kind of in your
Keep
foyer area.
Great. Be like, hey man.
I heard that you came home last night and somehow you were unhurt, and I just couldn't believe it after. Oh my God, I can't believe. I am so sorry. And you see,
Dallas,
his
Aw.
eyes are wet. He's like welling up with tears. This big
Aw.
man who towers over you, just kind of, he's almost like kind of retreating into himself. He's like, I thought I killed you.
Rosie,
you-
Rosie would see how he's struggling, and she would pull him in for a hug and just kind of like rub him on his back, on his denim back, and she'd be like, "It's okay, man. It was an accident. It was just an accident."
But he just sort of leans into the hug, this deep sigh, and then after a moment, he kind of pulls out of the hug, but he has his hands like
Mm-hmm.
he's holding your shoulders, but he's doing so in a way that it's almost like he's trying to keep you from falling over. But he's kind of holding you at arm's length, and he's like looking you up and down. How do you not even have a scratch? There was so much blood. My truck, the whole front end is smashed in.
I don't know, man.
He kind of scrunches his face up a little bit, and then you see that something kind of crosses over as it's almost like he makes a connection in his head, and he just goes, "You are the luckiest fucking kid I know." And you hear just outside the room, you hear language as Sherry Gunnarsson is passing from one room into the kitchen. She doesn't interrupt you. She just happened to be walking by.
It summoned her.
And anywhere an F word goes off in the world, Sherry hears it. It's like, so Rosie would just kind of nod and be like, yeah, "That's exactly what the doctors said, man. They said I got lucky, and it's okay. I'm not pissed. I'm not mad at you or anything. It's okay. It just happens. Sometimes things like that just happen."
I'm just glad you're okay. I had to make sure. Just from what I heard, I just had to see it to believe it. And I am so glad that you are okay. And listen, I don't care what it is. If you need anything, except for a ride, I'm there. All you got to do is ask.
Rosie would smile, and she would just kind of like nod and be like, "You really don't have to do that, man, but I appreciated it all the same. Don't worry about it, okay? It's everything's fine."
Okay.
Thanks for the flowers.
I didn't know what kind you liked, but I know you're like me, you're into the sports, and I thought the school colors would be good.
It's perfect, man. I appreciate them. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, remember, if you need anything, just let me know.
I got it.
I'll let you. And he kind of like almost looks a little embarrassed as he realizes you're basically still in pajamas. As he goes, "Oh, you got to get ready for school." I'm gonna go. And he turns and kind of fumbles looking for the doorknob, and then he kind of goes, opens the door. He turns to go out, and then he looks back at you, and he just kind of goes, "Man, so lucky." And then closes the door and leaves.
Rosie shuts the door behind him and just kind of like rubs the bridge of her nose. And it's just like, And
so,
like,
did he ask you to the dance?
Shut the fuck up, Cal.
Language!
And shut up, Cal. And she would to make her way up to take a shower before school. Language.
With that, we're going to cut to Billy. For the most part,
me.
Last night, the Van Houtens stayed for a couple hours. You hung out in the basement rec room with the twins, played some air hockey.
Was I able to glean anything from them? I'm obviously like out of game. We as players have suspicions, suspects, or just outright know what's going on, but beyond their holier than thou attitude and what have you, did I get anything out of that?
Let's treat it like this. It is the next morning and you're getting ready for school, but you're thinking back on the night before. So we'll do almost like a mini flashback.
Sure.
As you are interacting with Vicky and Vic and Vicky, and Vicky's definitely flirting with you quite heavily. What is going through your mind? What are you trying to determine? What are you thinking?
So obviously, like here in town, like my family is influential, but these guys are, you know, a class above. So I'm trying not to, you know, do anything that would come across as insulting. So I'm not like turning down, anything, but at the same time, I'm also like not making any kind of moves. It's kind of obvious as to, where Billy's brain is going. But I'm trying to figure out, like, is there some kind of, plan here? Are they trying to be manipulative towards a particular avenue? Obviously, like, she hadn't really known who I was in the first move. It was like, oh well, we're gonna walk to class together, and she like wraps my arm in hers, kind of like the power play to try and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna dominate this. So like I'm trying to be as subtly suspect as possible. If that makes any sense?
Yeah. So depending on how you are attempting to see through, I'm going to say this is going to be either a charm check or a grit check, depending on what your approach is. Are you trying to lean into the sort of flirtations and the very friendly nature of both of them, and see if they reveal something, or are you just playing the observer, trying to? So if you're leaning into the charming aspect, obviously charms. If you're trying to be more observant, then that's going to be a grit check.
My grit is better, but I think I'll get more information if I'm more charming. Because it's literally the difference between a D12 and a D10. So I'm gonna try charm and see what that gets me.
Which of the two are you focusing on?
Oh, Vicky.
Okay.
I feel like with what she's done, she would be more receptive. Victor has kind of been off to the wayside, just observing, I feel. All right, so that is a 7.
most of what you remember from the night before, as you just kind of continue to I don't know, I guess try to suss Vicky out while she's continuing to flirt with you, etc., etc. You find it very distracting to see past her feminine wiles. I will say that she rolled a 14, so you failed that by 7. What you can tell is she seems to really be into you. I would, with that much of a difference. Oh, go ahead.
Just for shits and giggles, I decided to roll the grit, and that came up as a 7 as well, so it wouldn't have mattered.
I'm gonna say, because of that difference in the charm checks, the way that you quote unquote lose, that she wins this, is when Carson comes downstairs and comes to collect the 3 of you, saying that the Van Houtens are ready to leave. Victor goes first, and Vicky holds you back for a moment.
Okay.
And as Victor is heading up the stairs, she goes, "So, I know my parents are hosting this fete, as they call it. It's a party. It's a fancy party on the end of the month, the same night as the dance. But I really want to go to the school dance. Do you think that you could be my escort to the dance? And then we could go to the party afterward."
Damn it. I had thought about going, but I wasn't really planning on going with anyone.
Why would you want to go to the dance by yourself? Or not go at all?
It's a social gathering. It's where, my friends are going to be.
But it's a dance. Well, I'm not going to force your hand, Billy. But I want you to know, because I believe
Let me think about it.
that the best way to get what you want is to be direct. I want you to take me to the dance, but I'm going to leave that choice to you. And once again, she leans in and gives you a kiss on the cheek and heads off up the stairs ahead of you. And that image of her walking up the stairs ahead of you is the last thing you're thinking about as you're brushing your teeth.
Sure.
Amazing.
So part of going through my mind of the dance, and why I answered the way it was, especially for our viewers out there, it was revealed last episode that the night of the dance is also a full moon. So certainly challenging for one such as Billy.
What could possibly go wrong?
Ted certainly remembers that and what have you. Let alone the fact that he's got feelings for somebody else. So it's certainly adding all kinds of layers of issues here. Not wanting to create problems, but problems are going to happen no matter what. So he's pretty much, while he's brushing his teeth and thinking about all of these things, he's he feels like by trying to be more friendly to glean information, it's only created more problems, and he's just sitting there absolutely frustrated with himself.
And I imagine right before you leave the bathroom, there's this moment where you kind of finish brushing your teeth and you just are staring into the mirror, and then you shake your head and you walk away.
So,
go ahead.
What? I don't know if I still have time before you're transitioning,
Yeah.
but I was gonna go seek out Mom.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I got a couple of questions if you've got time before I head off to school.
Whatever you need, I'll do my best to answer your questions.
All right, so first and foremost, the first day was really rough, and I don't want to get into all of it, but what is the deal with the is it Van Houtens? Is that the name?
Oh, the Van Houtens. Yes, they are a wealthy family from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Mr. Van Houten comes from a family that has, well, let's say they have their name on a lot of the buildings in Grand Rapids and surrounding areas.
Sure, I got that part, but the them dropping by unexpectedly last night or whatnot.
Oh, it wasn't unexpected per se. We anticipated that they would be stopping by to introduce themselves. They are next to us, of course. The wealthiest family to now be in Paradise, and they've relocated here. So naturally, they wanted to make sure that I guess the best way to say this is they wanted to suss us out and give us the opportunity to suss them out. There tends to be competition amongst wealthy families, but more so, and I and your grandmother had intended to get into this at the end of the month in the next full moon, but it's important that you know this since you seem to be getting quite close with those twins, particularly the girl, Victoria.
Well, it's complicated.
More so than you know.
Is there more information I need to know?
Well, at that moment, Darla, your grandmother, comes walking into the dining room, and she sits down at the head of the table, and she doesn't speak at first, but you see your mother kind of nervously glancing over at her, and then somebody from the kitchen comes in and places some breakfast and coffee before her. Once they leave, she looks over down the table at you and says, "What your mother is beating around the bush about is the Van Houtens are vampires."
Oh!
Excuse me?
Vampires. Creatures of the night, bloodsuckers, and all that.
Yeah, I how much more weird can this town get?
Sucks.
And we're allowing them into our house. Why?
Well, as a show of good faith, they are inviting us to their home. They did not come to Paradise seeking out any sort of conflict with us. They want to ensure a truce.
So then do they know what we are?
Oh yes, of course.
Do other people know what we are?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh my god. Billy's head is just starting to throb.
Your mother looks at you and says, "Billy, have you tried to tell anybody what you are?"
There are some people that know, but no, I have not directly told anyone.
Besides the Van Houtens, who knows?
So I look from mother to grandmother, and I ask, Darla, how much does she know?
Wait, you're asking... I'm not sure I understand the question you're asking. How much does who know?
I'm asking my grandmother, Darla, how much Mom knows.
Well, of course your mother knows what we are.
I mean in regards to the iterations.
William, I do not understand what you are talking about in iterations.
I give an exasperated sigh and then turn back to my, to my mother. The friends that I spent the summer with, they know.
Oh no.
Did you tell them?
Again, no.
She looks kind of sideways at your grandmother and kind of with a question in her voice says, "A loophole?" And your grandmother just takes a sip of her coffee, and as she brings the cup up, she just kind of goes, a little bit of a shrug.
Now, from what I can remember, there was a night that, and I don't know exactly what month it was, but I wouldn't just randomly say. I would say what month that I changed on the beach, and that the family came and pulled me away. I assume it was the family because my friends saw the other wolves.
That would have been them. Roughly June, July, maybe.
And but they were there in the lighthouse when I changed. I try to be as vague with the details as possible, to not give away and sucker punching me or me trying to bite off Rosie's foot.
Yeah. Who remembers?
You earn a single tisk from your grandmother, but your mother kind of looks at you with a worried look on her face and says, "Billy, you've got to be careful. You could hurt your friends."
And that's why I've been trying hard to get all of this under control, which is why I'd really like to go to the dance, but it's the night of and I bleep myself out, full moon, so I don't know what to do.
Your mother kind of gives you that. She shifts over to this different kind of motherly look as she kind of warms a little bit and says, "As we get closer to the night of the moon and this dance and the Van Houten's party, we will talk again. There is something that we can do that will make it easier for you to attend these events."
Can I ask one more stupid question?
Grandmother just says there seems to be no limit to the stupid questions. Mother.
Ooh. Snap.
Please, Billy. What is it?
Beyond the threat of being bitten by a wolf and what I might do, is what we are something that could pass that way? Or lots of myths about what we are, but I don't know how much of them are true and how much of them are naught but fairy tale.
If it were possible for you to transmit lycanthropy through biting, you would not be attending Paradise Academy, I can tell you that. This is a family thing. It's genetic.
That certainly makes me feel a lot better.
But there are certain things that are true. Silver, as you've no doubt learned, and you have memories of over the last couple months in the new memories that have been implanted of your grandmother showing you how painful silver is by the best way possible, which was by wrapping a silver chain around you more than once to help you build tolerance.
Yeah, tolerance training.
The submission to the moon, causing involuntary transformations. When you're old enough, you will be able to control your transformations. And aside from the full moon, be able to transform whenever you want. But you can't tell anybody what you are.
Oh, believe me, I think most people would think to lock me in a psych ward if I try and
You don't
legitimately
understand.
Convince them.
You don't understand, Billy. You can't tell people what you are.
Are you saying it's physically not possible, or are you saying that it will have greater repercussions?
I'm saying that if you try to tell anybody outside of our family or this household what you are, you will not be able to.
Okay.
Now,
I don't have any desire to do so.
good.
I want to have the information. That's all.
You are very impatient, William. All of this comes in your training that takes place in the week preceding the transition. It's been this way for the last few months, and will continue to be this way.
I apologize for my impatience.
One final lesson, William, before you go to school, and your grandmother stands. Do not apologize. We are staplers. We are never wrong. And she turns and walks from the room.
Oh my god.
So when she leaves the room, I turn to my mother. I am sorry. I disagree with her.
You're not
Smile,
the only one.
and if she doesn't retort, I will
She just
leave.
says you're not the only one. Carson's waiting for you.
Yeah. So I grab my bag and I keep my tie loose until we're pulling up to the school.
Jessica, after your conversation out on the front porch with Rosie last night, you went home and went to bed. You don't remember when you wake up very much about your dreams, except that you remember a dark void space, almost like if it were a room, you can't see the edges of it. A single spotlight seeming to come from above, shining on a singular object in the middle of the room. It is the tall standing mirror that Ashley Raven showed you in the previous iteration, covered with that crimson cloth. The mirror that she called the jealous mirror. And the only thing you can remember before waking up is this strong desire to pull aside the cloth and see what is on the other side. But before you could get to and actually pull the curtain away is when you wake up. And you find yourself in your small bedroom in Starlight Mobile Park, and you do know, I imagine you've probably arranged your bed so that your back is kind of to it, but your closet, unfortunately, is all mirror. But otherwise, you are in your room the next morning. What does Jessica do in the morning to get ready for school or whatever it is that she wants to do?
Yeah, so I imagine there's quite the morning routine for Jessica, as she showers, gets ready, all of that. Though, I think that every mirror that she has been covered. In her room, when she gets into the bathroom, she quickly covers it up with a towel. She limits her exposure to mirrors.
You probably have taken on your closet in your bedroom, probably taken like a comforter or a big blanket or something and kind of tucked it in at the top of the door where it would drape over those. Because I imagine your closet's kind of like two doors that either open or one slides or whatever. But yeah, that makes sense. You also hear your while you're getting ready, your mom is in the kitchen doing her usual morning, getting the getting some kind of breakfast around before she heads off to go to work.
Yeah, Jessica's pretty quiet, which is probably not new around her mom. I think she is maybe not playing a game of chicken, but trying to see if her mom brings up her dad coming to visit, because he had said he had her sign some papers. So it's kind of like this, is she gonna say anything? Am I gonna say anything? This like awkward tension, silence in the air.
I think as this is happening we the audience would see that as you're moving around through the house and in each other's space, you maybe are glancing at her while she's not looking at you, and then when you're looking away, she kind of glances at you as you guys are playing this little bit of emotional chicken. But when you sit down to the table, and I picture in this mobile home, as you walk through the living room, there's like a kind of like a bar type part of the counter, and then the kitchen is sort of on the left with the stove and the sink and the refrigerator, and on the right hand side is a small table up against the window with a couple of chairs. And I picture this kitchen table has at least on your mom's side, it has like newspapers, it has probably a couple of paperback books, couple, maybe a wine glass from the night before. It's like the table is a living space where it's never fully cleaned. Not that I'm not saying that it's dirty, but it's cluttered. It's cluttered with the things that your mom seems to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And as you sit down at the table, and one of these times you glance away from her, you notice that on the top of some newspapers, but slightly covered by a Danielle Steele novel that's been sort of laid face down, you can see legal papers with some little post-its stuck to it, and you can read upside down the top of the paper that says petition for divorce. There's an ink pen sitting next to it, and you can just see that the signature line, at least on the first page, is blank.
Jessica wants to make a mental note of where it is. Does her mom usually leave earlier than Jessica?
You tell me. What does your mom do? Since the divorce and she's had to actually work, what kind of work does your mom do?
I imagine that she is. Is there anyone else whose mom is a nurse? I don't remember. That might be popping up in my head because someone else's mom is a nurse, but
I don't think so.
Because I thought it might be interesting that in, when she was in California, she might have been like not an esthetician. I think she was a nurse, but maybe like the job was a little bit easier, a little bit like less, maybe for like a wealthier like clinic or something along those lines. Now that she is in Paradise, she's had to take on extra shifts and just to kind of keep things together. So I imagine she works a lot of strange hours.
Does she work at the clinic in Paradise, or does she work in Traverse City at the TC General Hospital?
Oh, I would definitely say at the General. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
So with that information, your mom places a plate in front of you, whole wheat toast, scrambled eggs, bacon or sausage, whatever it is that Jessica normally eats. Pretty basic breakfast fare. And she takes a plate for herself, but she doesn't sit at the table. She sets the plate next to the sink, and she basically stands over the sink eating and kind of leans against the counter as she holds a piece of toast in her hand and says, she's the first one to break the silence, as she says, "Aren't you friends with that Gunnarsson girl?"
Yeah.
I heard that she was admitted to the hospital last night. She was in a pretty bad accident. Strangest thing, though, was they discharged her that night with no injuries.
She must have been, like, lucky or something.
I tell you, the doctors at TC General are flabbergasted. It's kind of was the buzz all night. I think this is establishing that your mom, at least for some of the time, this is her not having gone to bed yet. But her schedule is odd, so there may be times where she's gone for like 48 hours at a time, or even longer. But she's probably coming off of a couple days. She's very tired. She's probably still wearing scrubs, and she's like, "Yeah, I was even this morning when I left. That's all they were talking about. But I guess your friend's okay."
She like pauses and smiles a little bit. Yeah, she's great. I actually saw her last night.
Well, I want you to be careful.
At the parking lot?
With your car. I don't want you hitting somebody, and maybe that somebody isn't lucky.
Don't worry, I'm a much better driver than that meathead.
Oh. There's no promises, but there's a possibility that we could maybe get you and me a little bit better cars. Your dad is in town.
She nods. She's like, I know.
You knew that already.
He, like, took me out for dinner or, like, whatever.
Of course he did. And he's probably, what, trying to turn you against me? Did he tell you why he's here?
He asked you to sign some papers so that he can go off and marry Becky.
Becky? Sounds like she's 18. Sorry. She's probably a very lovely girl.
She's a bitch.
Hell
She
yeah.
she legitimately laughs at that and says, "Yeah, you're right. She is a bitch, but I wanted to talk to you about this before." And this time, she does she takes her cup of coffee and she moves over to the table. She sits down across from you, and she pushes the book aside and kind of taps at these papers. I wanted to talk to you before I sign this. Right now, your dad and I are separated. And you are old enough and smart enough to know we're not getting back together. It's because of him that we're in this situation. He left us with pretty much no money when he left. But if I sign these papers, he's going to have to pay us. He has to pay us every month. It's not going to be enough to necessarily get us out of here, but we should be able to start putting some money away, and we can get you a car that actually starts and turns off when it's supposed to. And I don't have to worry about you driving around and maybe running over your classmates with.
I feel like there's like a but. Why don't you just sign it? That sounds great.
I guess I just wanted to see how you feel about all this. You and I have not really talked about this since your father left. You haven't exactly been yourself between getting ready for school, another school year, and the separation and all the hours I've been working. But I've noticed you seem a little more distant. You seem a little angrier.
Well, yeah. She's like kind of like looks around, like gestures to the where they're living. But it's not your fault. Dad is the asshole who left us with nothing, went to go after Becky, and then when he went to visit me, wanted my permission or whatever. He just wanted to make himself feel better.
That's how he operates. Your dad's kind of a narcissist. But I think you know that.
So, like, take that jackass for what he's worth.
She kind of, you see her, like, the more you're talking, you can see you're like lifting a load off her shoulders. And she says, "Yeah, let's get whatever we can out of that jackass." And she picks up the pen and she pauses over the signature line, and she looks back up at you and she says, you know none of this is your fault too. You
see Jessica pause for a second. She doesn't say anything, but she just like kind of nods. Doesn't really make eye contact, with her mom. Doesn't look up. Kind of plays with one of her bracelets.
All right. Well,
have you talked to Kat?
Not for a couple weeks. She seems to never be home when I call, or she's screening my calls. Your dad says she's planning to go out to California. He wants you to go with her. That's your decision.
I mean,
whatever you want to do, I'm not going to influence you either way.
Oh, I'd like to go. I get to dress up, have food, go to some stupid wedding in California. I'm petty, but I'm not that petty that I would not have a good time.
She kind of sighs, gives a sort of she gives you a smile this time that doesn't quite reach your eyes. And then she looks down at the pen and the paper and she says, well, here's to squeezing whatever we can out of the jackass. And she signs the paper. She sets the pen down almost as if it's burning her fingers, just like she just quickly did it. She stands up and comes around the table, kind of leans over you and kind of does one of those hugs from behind. Kisses the back of your head.
Ah, gross. Ew. Jessica squeezes out away from her mom.
She kind of holds you just a little bit, but lets you pull away. I am very tired. I've been up for 36 hours. I am going to sleep for at least 10. You need to go to school.
Yeah.
And she heads towards the back of the trailer.
As she heads, you hear Jessica call, "Good night, Mom."
Good night, Jess. And as she heads to the back, she kind of glances towards your bedroom, and then she passes the bathroom and glances, and she kind of, from the far end of the hallway, you see her give a puzzled look as she just, before she goes in her room, what's with all the mirrors covered? Teenagers. And she disappears into her bedroom at the back of the trailer. And as you, well, I should say, without presuming, do you finish breakfast and actually go to school?
She does finish breakfast. I think she does go to school. Her mom didn't take those papers with her, did she?
No, she left them sit on the table.
Jessica wants to take a peek at those papers. Just wants to just see what the agreement is.
Looking through the papers, there's a lot of legal jargon in there. And as you flip through, you see that basically it boils down to that your dad, I'm not going to say a specific number because, one, I have no experience with this. Two, I don't know what it would be in the 1980s. It's not an insignificant amount of money in alimony that he has to pay, but it's not, as your mom said, it's not going to be enough for you guys to immediately just, get out of Starlight Mobile Home Park. But it's a little bit more than A, she let on, and B, you would expect your dad to even be able to afford. The amount that is on this paper would indicate that he has access to more money than even he absconded with. You know that he took off with at least a couple 100,000, and basically left you and your mom with just a couple grand in the bank. This would indicate that he definitely has access to more money.
Yeah, Jessica's gonna take note of that. It's gonna finish up her breakfast and yeah, head off to school.
As you close the door, head out, we see from inside the trailer as you shut the door and turn the key in the lock, hear the screen door sort of, and you walk away. The camera starts slowly pulling back through the living room and down the hall, still looking at the door. In the distance, we hear that rough start as you struggle to get your car started. The camera continues to pull back and then turns to the left, looking through the open door to your bedroom, and slowly pushes in, and we see where that blanket is hanging from the closet doors, and we see that it's just slightly under its own weight, starting to pull away, and just one corner of the blanket drops, and we see a section of the mirror, and we see a hand slam against the glass on the inside of the mirror, and the mirror go and crack. And that's where we're going to transition to Oak.
Wow.
Surprisingly, that whole interaction with Jessica and her mom was the least strange thing that has happened in this game in a while.
It's just like, it's like werewolves,
That is the
vampires,
most normal thing to
unbreakable divorce.
Actual life things probably happen.
Oak.
Yep.
You went to bed after an evening of putting all of your most recent conspiracies and theories down on paper, drawing up another one of your infamous conspiracy boards on the back of children's menus with the crayons at the restaurant. And right before you went to bed, you placed the mysterious watch on your nightstand and drifted off to sleep. You wake up the next morning. Your dreams were confusing. You don't remember specifics, but it's trying to remember what you dreamt about is like trying to determine the lyrics of 3 songs that are playing simultaneously.
All that have the same chord progression? Yeah, it's like that's how it works. Okay.
You have memory of basically, it's like you had 3 separate dreams all at the same time, and you're not sure which was which as they intertwined. Dreams of a 1950s paradise, dreams of current day paradise, and dreams of a moon base. And that's all you can remember as you wake up.
Okay.
In your bedroom at the back of the Shipwreck Cafe.
So I think Oak gets up. He's like very dazed and confused about all of this and like trying to piece everything together. And I think he takes like a couple sticky notes and he starts making like separate on the conspiracy board. He starts making like separate panels for each section now. So there's like one for 1950s, one for current, and then one for XXX, whatever this is. I have no idea what time period this is, but it's clearly something in the future. And so he'll do that first thing, and then he'll go to the side to like this little side table next to his bed, and he will grab for his journal, which should be there, and then he'll also kind of like scatter his hand across it to try to feel for the watch,
which is not there.
Once he starts not feeling for the watch, like once he feels it and doesn't feel like it's there at all, panic overcomes him. And he starts like tearing through the room, like looking for it.
I imagine your room is relatively modest. Probably most of your things from your home are either in boxes because of the relative small space, or probably in storage. Actually, we'll even say that a lot of your stuff is still at your house, which is caught up in probably in a trust or legal things or something like that. So you don't have a lot of stuff. There's not a whole lot to turn over as you're
for him to go
this.
through. For him to go through.
You very quickly realize this watch is nowhere in this room.
Yeah. And so unlike what my normal routine would be for the morning, I kind of like push open the door and I just like storm out into the open. Quick question, Jake, is do they serve like breakfast in the morning at the Shipwreck Cafe?
I feel like we previously established that this place opens like around 11 or something like that.
Okay, so
Heinz
it's
made
not
you breakfast last time.
Heinz made me breakfast.
Heinz made you breakfast, but the place doesn't open for breakfast.
The place doesn't open, so there's no risk of me like being a jackass and invading like other people's livelihood.
No, if you're going to be a jackass,
cool.
It's going to be in private.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Because it's about to happen. So Oak just bursts the door open. Hey, where is it?
So, as you come out the door, it's sort of like where you're in Heinz's living quarters is like in converted space at the back of the restaurant. So you come out of your room, it's sort of like coming through this small hallway into the kitchen and then out into the restaurant proper. And
so I think that there's like this tunnel camera, right? There's this tunnel camera that goes down from the moment he opens the door, and it just follows him walking down this path, and in like a very hard zoom cut of like his face just in the biggest scowl, like he is angry, he is mad, and he is just storming down. Yeah,
Sergio Leone.
Yeah, he is just storming down this hallway.
As you come out of the kitchen, just to add to that little bit of Western flair, you come through the swinging doors of the kitchen. You know, a place like this has a swinging door for the kitchen so that staff can go back and forth through it. So there's that moment of almost like walking into a saloon where the doors go and you see at the nearest table where it's the table that is always reserved for you and Heinz. It's a small table. It's the table you guys eat dinner at. It's the table you guys eat breakfast at. Unless it's super busy, which it never is, that table is never seated, so that no matter when, you have a place to sit. Right now, Heinz is sitting there, as you would expect. A cup of coffee is off to his left. And you see that there is a silver tray, like one of the trays that the buns or biscuits or whatever might be laid in to be put into the oven, with wax paper laid down on it. And you can see on this tray, I'm going to say this tray is probably like I'll tell you exactly how big it is. Don't ask me why I have this. It's about this big.
Jake's got props.
Yes, I'm very proud of you.
Taking a page from your book, Carrie.
And as you get closer to Heinz, you see what looks like 1,000 pieces. And the only reason you can tell that it is your watch is The buckle and the straps are set off to one side, and what would be the face of this watch. Every gear, every screw, and for some reason, what looks like a small cluster of diamonds, everything is laid out intricately in that same way that Laz's desk was seemingly laid out in an OCD fashion. Everything is neatly laid out on this tray. And Heinz is just sitting there staring at it, stroking his chin.
Where is it? And he looks down, like, looking at it. What the hell, Heinz? Why'd you take my stuff?
This is, actually, for the first thing he says is, he looks up at you and he goes, good morning, Oak.
Answer the question. Why did you take my stuff?
I did not take it. It is right here. It was very curious indeed, and I found myself drawn to it, and I needed to understand how this thing worked. This is very fascinating. Look at this here. This face piece would indicate that this is some sort of what do you kids call them, like a swatch, the popular Swiss watch things. But it's plain. But I saw no timekeeping mechanism. There's no hands. There's no LCD display. But there's all these gears. Here's the springs. A lot of the functionality of a clock. But it seems like it is not keeping time in the traditional sense. These are not geared properly for tracking seconds and minutes and hours. It seems almost as if it's geared to track from hours to days and months and years. Then there's these. And he points to what looks like a cluster of diamonds. I have never seen this in the working components of any watch. Actual diamonds. These are diamonds. And
you see
these pieces over here, and there's a whole cluster of very small components that range from shiny chrome to obsidian black, with what looks to be actual gold components as well. All very small. This is all the stuff I cannot identify. None of this matches this. What should be parts of the timekeeping mechanisms. It's fascinating. How is it that you come by such a thing?
Oak is seething right now, but he is also so curious now as to why this man broke this open, and lays it out before him. So he pulls a chair. I came by it in. He looks to Heinz. I came by it in the last iteration. Does that ring a bell for you at all?
Is the last iteration. Is this some kind of after school club or something?
No. God. Okay, then you. The 7. Like
7 what?
The 7. You don't.
The
none of that ring a
Magnificent
bell,
Seven.
neither. No, not the movie. Okay, no, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about the 7. It was like you and like apparently me and like other people and I don't know. You don't remember any of that?
It is difficult for me to remember things that didn't happen. And you must...
It's not a dream, Hans!
You have not eaten breakfast yet. I think maybe you need to...
Hans, I'm not hungry right now. I'm talking about this.
As you gesture in your frustration, you see Heinz looking down and his eyes get wide. As you start gesturing, some of the components of the disassembled watch begin moving. Specifically those unidentified chrome and obsidian and gold pieces. They seem to almost just be like vibrating like magnets that are getting just a little close to each other.
What? Okay, well, that never happened, so I've never seen that before. So that's new.
Do that again.
Okay.
Do this.
Okay, look, I'm just saying that I want to figure things out on my own. And a lot of things are confusing for me right now, and I want to be so mad at you.
In your genuine frustration, and as you're gesturing, you see these pieces literally lift off the table, and the different pieces begin to sort of move around one another. And as you just go, I just want to be so mad at you, and you clench your fists, they all snap together into this, it's very small enough to fit within the, if you're looking in a two-dimensional sense at the sort of face of the swatch, but somehow too big to fit within the third dimension of it. It's a dodecahedron. It looks like a 20-sided die shape with not numbers, but the obsidian and chrome seem to form the 20 different facets, with the gold seeming to be inlaid on the face of every one of these, creating various symbols. It snaps together and just seems to, the small, just hovering around. I don't know if it'll show up on here, but I actually have one of these like 6mm D20s.
Ooh. Wow, itty bitty guy.
It's more like that, maybe slightly larger than that. And it just suddenly starts rotating around, hovering above the table. As it does this and they snap together, for just a split second, you see what looks like a green Bacta tank. The silhouette of somebody inside it. You can't see who. It's literally like a split second, and then it's gone.
Did you see that, Hans?
I see this thing that is floating here.
There was something there.
The pieces did not go together this way when I took it apart.
Okay, hold on. Look. You had no right to take that from me. You shouldn't have gone in my room and took it. Do I think this is cool? Yes! Yes, this is cool. I'm happy that we get to share this. That is awesome. But I am angry because you took stuff from me. And you shouldn't have taken stuff from me. Okay?
You're not wrong to be angry at me. You're right. I should not have taken something from you without your permission. But I need to remind you that you are under my protection. I was sworn to keep you safe and to protect you. And you brought a strange device into my house, into our house. You did not tell me about this.
From what? What are you protecting me from? Like, school? You're protecting me from school?
The world. You are a little boy in a big world and your family is gone.
Yeah.
I'm your guardian. Legally,
Yeah,
I am
I'm-
obligated to protect you, but believe it or
Yeah.
not, I care for you, Oak.
I know you do. Okay, I know you do. And I was gonna come out here and I was gonna be so upset at you, and I was gonna say things like, "You're not my dad," and like get all upset and angry. And then this happened, and then there was cool stuff, and then I want to be mad at you. I want to be, but do you have any idea of like time travel? Anything? You are a pirate, sir. You are a pirate, and there is a part of me that, yeah, it might be a dream, but there is a part of me that remembers you as a pirate there is a part of me there that remembers that. I remember that. I hold on to it. Look on my wall. You see it. It's not just dreams, Hans. It's not just dreams.
Give me 1 second.
I just want adults to start thinking that. I just want adults to start thinking that my stories aren't just stories, okay? That they're actually my memories. And excuse me if I'm sorry, but I'm going to say something that might hurt your feelings. But you're not my dad. You're not. You're not my mom either. And it hurts. Okay?
Do you feel better getting that out?
Yes, sir, I do.
I know that I am not your mother or your father. I'm not your sisters. I am no blood relation to you. But I am your legal guardian. And I have obligations. As the two of you sort of, as he's saying this, you kind of, are awkwardly looking away, glancing away. You see that the rest of the components of this watch have reassembled themselves. There is now, all of the components have created, if you've ever taken a watch apart and you pull the inside piece out where everything's neatly packed together, except you can see in the center where there's a space for this dodecahedron to sit. And there are 7 tiny circles where they're just settling in. The diamonds are settling into place. It's as if your frustration and anger were driving this somehow. It hasn't fully assembled, and it's at that moment that from the corner off to your right where the one of the arcade games sits, you hear a voice say, "He is right, you know. You are going to have to tell him everything." And Captain Edouard Detroit steps out from the shadows.
Oh!
You notice, as he does so, that Heinz very quickly grabs the last of the components together and kind of like takes possession of the watch. And that's where we're gonna take a cut. We were gonna take a break, but we're close enough to the end here. I would like to move forward to start to set things up for the next episode. So if everybody's all right with it, I think most of you got up and took breaks. We'll drive forward.
As long as my connection still holds out, like I'm good. Like I don't need to go change.
Don't say it out loud.
I did.
We're only going to go to our usual, no later than our usual stop time. with that, I would like to toss it back to the rest of you. For the first time in a long time, I will tell you only it's morning. Whoever wants to speak up, you can pick basically the starting point in the day. We're not necessarily going to go through hour by hour, whatever. It can be before school, it can be somewhere in the middle of the classes, it can be lunchtime, whatever. But I want to know what you guys are doing during your school day.
I'll jump in.
Sure.
If Carson can get me to school early enough, Billy would hang around out front to wait for Jessica and see if he could snag her for a second before class starts. But that all depends upon whether she got in before I did, which I leave to you, Em.
No, I think with the conversation that Jessica had with her mom and also looking over the documents, I would say she's probably a little later than she would usually.
And Carson is really good about making sure that Billy is to school well in advance of when school starts. So it sounds like, Billy, you will see Jessica arrive in the parking lot.
Their beat up car.
You would hear Jessica arrive in the parking lot.
Did we ever determine what you're driving?
Yeah, one of those wood panel wagons.
Somebody
right.
described it as Uncle Buck's car.
Yeah.
I think that was Jeremy.
Sure.
Classic.
Yeah. So, when Jessica kind of arrives and I let you get out of your car and, do your thing, do you seem at all self-conscious about driving that vehicle, or is that not a thing for you?
No, I would say there are probably people who don't even have cars. So I imagine that she has a bunch of those dangly things under the rearview mirror, and she has totally made it her own vehicle. So she gets out, she has her sunglasses on, and yeah.
So Jess, we haven't had a chance to really talk, and he kind of glances around to make sure there's no eavesdroppers or anything. A lot's happened since the summer, and obviously we can't have all the talks here, but kind of hoping to chat with you at some point in time.
Jessica nods, and I'm sorry for not coming to the pizza place yesterday. And so she wasn't self-conscious when she came out of the car, but you notice that her eyes shift now, and you now feel the discomfort as she begins this conversation of, she's like, I saw my dad. It was a whole thing. She's like, but did you talk to the others?
Well, obviously you heard about Rosie, right? So didn't really have a chance to talk to her, and apparently I really need to. There's just been way too much going on and not a chance to really get through any of it. I mean, it's even more than I realized. Heck, it was at the pizza place when the little shared that what I did to Rosie, and that's a lot. And then there's more that I want to share with everybody, but I just, I and he kind of fumbles through the words, and he's usually not this way.
As he's fumbling, Jessica puts a hand on his shoulder and kind of waits for him to
catch his breath.
Yeah, just kind of collect himself.
So like he turns and looks around, seeing if there's any, eavesdroppers. He doesn't care about, people seeing. He just doesn't want to hear. But he turns and, looks you square in the face, like, with you and Anne and everything. I really don't know where everything is at the moment.
Jessica, she looks at Billy, and she's like, I'm just so happy that you're here and you get it. This is... And she, like, as she's saying this, you can see tears beginning to well up in Jessica's eyes. And I think she would just kind of, like, she has the shoulder in, and she just kind of collapses into you for, like, this hug, and she...
Oh, he'll wrap you in a big hug and what have you.
And she, like, just, sinks into the hug, and you feel like she has needed this, like, as her everything just kind of collapses, and this, haughty exterior that she has all the time just kind of falls away, and she just kind of crumples almost into you.
Look, you can talk to me about anything. It was a lot that we dealt with, and we know for a fact that it's not over. And I don't really know all the things going on, but there's, like I said, there's more crap to deal with. I got something really major to talk about with the group, and I thought what I wanted to talk about yesterday was something, but dear Lord.
She looks back, like, she kind of leans back. She looks kind of confused at you, just like, what do you mean?
You promise that you're not going to panic? Vampires.
And Jessica lets out this, like, squeak almost of just Eepa. Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a legitimate threat or not, but like it got dropped on me this morning, and one of them wants me to go to the dance with them.
Jessica and Billy, both roll a D100 real quick, please.
Okay.
Oh my word.
Tell me it's 69.
Weird.
I got 67.
It is really? Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
Amazing. Nice.
So hold on, you got 60 what?
67.
I'm a 69.
I got a 69. What's happening? There's something linked about our D100 rolls in this game in particular.
That is the second time in this game
with that number.
A double 69.
Yeah. Words that didn't expect to hear in this game.
Well,
I've honestly never heard the phrase double 69 before.
Well.
Double nice. Moving on. What does it mean? As Billy says that about one of them wants to take me to the dance or go to the dance or whatever, it's at that moment you hear what would be a good track? I think this is, if I remember correctly, it's from the 80s. Is Depeche Mode personal Jesus. As the cabriolet of the Van Houtens pulls in into the space next to Jessica's car. And as it's pulling in, and the two of you are still pretty close together from this hug, the twins spot you, and you both see Victor and Vicky both give a momentary look of... Victor looks frustrated, and Vicky looks pissed. This is for a moment.
Sure.
And then it quickly turns into both of them turning into smiles. You just
quickly gain their composure.
This would have been considered almost a micro expression, but the two of you with those close rolls, you clearly saw these expressions. They're faltering, and then them quickly putting up masks as they start to get out of the car.
Absolutely amazing. Three rolls, all within 2 points.
Yeah, that's
Could
wild.
Jessica, like, as they're pulling up and as this happens, like, in response to Billy's, like, question of just, you didn't say yes to her, did you? Is like, as she was saying that, and then, like, that is when she quickly gets that out. And Jessica's face goes into a absolute, like, whatever was gone, or whatever, like, defenses were down, are back up, and she is in her typical sneer, which is not unusual for Jessica.
And
so
again,
whatever.
with the closeness of those rolls, I'm gonna say that you recognize the exact same, call it a defense, call it a shield, call it the personality, whatever. You see Vicky put on that sort of popular / plastic look. She immediately shifts. Her whole stance changes as she they come around the car and come up to you, and they both say, "Good morning, Billy." "Hi, I'm Vicky Van Houten. This is my brother Victor."
So I would say, Victor, Victoria, this is Jessica.
Jessica. So nice
Hi.
to meet you.
You must be new, the Van
Houtens. And Vicky
like
immediately...
the coffee brand.
She immediately leans forward. She goes, Victor goes, "Yes, my family owns the Van Houten coffee roasters." And Vicky is already, she's invading your personal space as she steps forward and reaches up and just kind of touches the side of your hair, and she goes, I absolutely love what you've done with what you have to work with. It's amazing.
Oh.
Jessica just smiles. She feels comfortable with this, like this kind of conversation. She was like, "Oh, thank you. I stay up to date with all of the latest fashions, which, I see you don't, but I mean, that's a decision."
Oh.
Some people just go in for the, what do you call it, antique look?
Well, I can understand in Paradise that the latest trends from LA, Milan, Paris, New York, they haven't quite reached here. But you know what? I think we could be really good friends and we could share tips.
Oh, I would love that. Totally.
I so look forward to it. And then she starts to walk away from you, and she just kind of gives you an up and down look and just kind of gives a sly smile, and she goes, "Come on, Victor." And they turn and walk towards the school. I would like somebody else to show up on the scene.
There's a small commotion as Rosie skids to a stop on her bike.
Just as
Rosie,
the Van Houtens are walking away.
Rosie's just like slides sideways, like, and then parks her bike on the bike rack, and it's just like chewing gum. And in the dumbest and tiniest attempt at trying to maintain a low profile, she has sunglasses on. But otherwise, it's just exactly her. She doesn't fucking know what to do in this situation.
All right,
Rosie's
so
going for the classic superhero disguise, which is ball cap sunglasses.
Exactly. It's like forward, very like, no pictures, please. No, but she does get to school, and yeah.
After Victor and Victoria are in the building, that's when I can think that their vampire hearing is, distracted by other kids walking through the halls. Regardless of how much other conversation happens here, I will interject and say to Jessica, to answer your question, no, I did not agree.
Ooh.
You see a palpable look of relief on Jessica that she tries to catch as quickly as she can, but she absolutely does not, and you can see that look of relief on her face.
But there is another problem, and I can't go into detail, but I looked at the calendar, and the night of the dance happens to coexist with another, shall we say, celestial lunar event.
Oh, Jessica says,
damn it.
So I'm looking into how to deal with that.
Jessica nods as they see Rosie waves her over.
And Rosie would just kind of grab her backpack off of her bike, and she would go up and be like, "Morning, friends."
So you did decide to come to school.
I'm keeping a low profile.
As you say that, you see a pickup truck, a red Ford F-150, much newer, pulls up into the drop-off point, and you see a man who looks like Dallas Rogers but at 40. And then you see Dallas get out of the passenger side, and he immediately he kind of turns and goes, "Thanks, Dad." Rosie! As you say, you're keeping a low profile. And he doesn't come over to you, he just goes, "Hey, Rosie!"
Well, there goes
more
that.
than
Rosie takes
a
off her
few
sunglasses.
heads turn at that.
Rosie takes off her sunglasses, and she just like hangs them in the collar of her shirt, and she's just like, "Well, let the talking begin." And I look over at Jess and like, "Billy, no offense, friend,
So
but you look like you haven't slept."
There's a lot to discuss, but more to you. Did you tell Jessica what happened at the hospital yesterday?
Yeah, we had a talk, and she knows. It's all real weird, man. It's really weird. Thanks for being there. I appreciate it.
Joining the club.
So somebody else kissed Les?
Shut the Billy. If Rosie would kind of like act like she's gonna, she would act like she's gonna punch him in the belly, and then like stops just short. And I like look over, and I'm just like scratching the back of my neck, and I would just say to Billy, I'm like, "No, like the superpowers club."
Yeah, I wasn't gonna talk about that here. I was talking about the happy stuff. I mean, not that that's not happy, but
and that's where Laz rolls up on you as you hear that the skate wheels clicking across the cracks in the sidewalk, and
yeah,
kind of skids to a halt and kicks the back of it up and kind of pops it up so we can catch it. Have y'all seen Oak?
Not yet. Why?
Something really, really fucking weird happened last night. And I woke up with this thing in my backpack. And he pulls out the little disc that has like the engraving on both sides.
That's just a washer.
No. Like this thing, it made me like, it made me see something different. Something else. Like, I can't shake the feeling, but I think it might be what's actually happening right now.
You don't think we're here?
No, I think it's like a dream, like a fake dream that they're making us feel. You know, like they're making us live through this.
Fake.
Like it's all in our head, like a bad trip.
Yeah, I'll bet that's all it is.
Right.
And I would kind of bump Billy, and I'd be like, "I'm with you. Can we go back to talking about the happy stuff?"
Yeah, I don't think much of the weird stuff can we really talk about at school. With everything that's happened, I've kind of been thinking about, I don't know, maybe starting some kind of unofficial club to deal with some of this nonsense.
I think as you say that line, Ted, that's when Oak would kind of like roll up on the scene a little bit. He probably gets dropped off by Hines, and then comes up through the stairs and says, "Talk about some sort of club? Like I'm down. I mean, I got a lot of other things going on, but I'd be okay with that."
Yeah, at least if we had something to say. Oh, we're going to our club today. Then at least nobody would question.
Can we work it around basketball practice this time, please?
Absolutely. I mean, it's unofficial, so it's it's more about getting the adults out of our hair than anything else.
Laz goes over to Oak. I need you to figure out what this is. I know I asked that about the watch last night. It was unfair. I mean, I'm sorry. I was just kind of freaking out. But this,
hey, I'm sorry too. I didn't mean to try to disappoint. I'm sorry, buddy.
No,
whatever you need me to look at.
You didn't disappoint me, Oak. That was on me. I was just kind of in my own head too much.
Yeah,
I was scared.
Me too. Yeah.
He kind of looks up at Rosie.
I like avoid eye contact. Rosie's shy.
Yeah, I trust me, Les. I get it. But yeah, whatever you need me to look at, I can do that. What if we you got computer, right? You got computers class at some point?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll meet in the computer lab, okay? I'll take a look at it there.
Okay. I think you probably also have, outside of normal class periods, you have permission to use the computer lab during lunch and after school.
Yeah, like basically whenever I got a free pass. Yeah, cool.
Laz puts it in Oak's hand, and he kind of holds it there for a second, and he kind of looks Oak square in the face. Don't trust yourself.
Oak?
Yep.
You look down at your hand, and there's nothing there. Laz, you clearly see that you put this thing in Oak's hand.
Oh my god.
Laz?
Well, you said he looks down and doesn't see it. Can he feel it?
Nope. Oak, you don't see or feel anything in your hand. It's like he just touched your hand with his finger, and there's nothing there.
Laz just like closes his fingers on his fist and kind of pushes it back towards Oak's chest. I trust you, buddy. I trust you.
I think right about then's when Coop rolls up, and Coop's like,
"Oh, hey everyone, how you doing? Oh, Oak, Did you figure out how the watch works? Were you able to do that last night? Oh, guess what? Templeton's living at my house now.
What?
Are you okay?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I be?
Because Templeton's evil as shit, Coop.
He's not evil. He's eating pizza and hanging out with James.
But isn't he also Algernon?
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. To answer your question, Coop, yeah, kinda, sorta. And what? And now, Templeton? Yeah, I think maybe. When did you get a hold of Templeton?
He snuck into my house. He was hanging out with James. I fed him pizza.
You have
Rosie sees Jimmy walk by in the building and is like, we need to have a club and we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this a lot. I gotta go. And Rosie walks into the building.
Rosie,
Laz,
as you
like,
walk
has
in,
taken like 2 steps towards Rosie before she is like turned and walked away. And he kind of acts like he was doing something else. He puts his hands in his pockets.
Rosie, as you walk into the building, you kind
Well.
of you see that as you walk in, you kind of have the door. I guess the door would be held open for you as you see a couple of maintenance guys. There's a box truck parked off to the side, and they're bringing a crate. They're carrying a crate in on a cart, and they just come through the door, and one of them kind of holds the door open for you as you push past and go into the school.
Thank you.
And you all hear the bell, the first bell that tells you you only have 5 minutes to get to class, rings. And everybody begins to disperse, heading for class. As you do so,
I just whispered to Jessica real quick, like, just keep that, about the twins just between us until I can get everybody together.
Yeah, Jessica nods. Yeah, I'll keep the freaky vampires a secret.
I give you, a warm smile and sigh and shake my head of, what the hell are we having to deal with? It's like slowly, walk in the building.
as the rest of you head in and start splitting up to go to your various classes, I want to focus in on 3 of you. Jessica, as you are heading to first period journalism, your route takes you past one of the walls that has some of the school trophies in it off of the main hall. And you don't see this, but the audience sees this. As you walk by, faintly, your reflection is in the glass. Ooh. And as you're walking past the trophy case, spiderweb cracks are following your reflection all the way across. Very thin cracks. Laz, as you are heading to yearbook class, as you get into the class and kind of settle in, reaching into your pocket either to put your hands in there or whatever, you find that washer is in your pocket. Coop, as you are heading to English Lit and Comp, after you go to your locker and get your books and you start heading towards class, you come around the corner and the 2 maintenance people they're wearing coveralls, they're pushing this box, and they come around the corner and you almost run into this box, and one of the guys looks down and goes, "Hey, watch it, kid." And you look up and you see Jake the maintenance man.
Yeah.
And the other maintenance guy goes, "Gotta get to class, kid." And you see Jake the other maintenance man. Both of these maintenance men look identical to each other, and they look like Jake the boyfriend. And that's where we're going to end this session.
Oh, that's like the harmless fun weird. That's like not perilous weird.
Or else dying weird.
Yeah. Oh,
I can deal with more of the fun weird when we keep dropping bombs of like, oh, vampires and
yeah.
Possibly we're all inside of Dr. Thanks.
There was a point where I was like, I could draw out the vampire mystery, but it was pretty darn obvious. You guys picked up on it right away. I'm like, there's no point in hiding this. They're going to come right out. We're just going to say it.
That was the funniest reveal ever.
Well, I was willing to just completely allow it to be obvious to the characters. Me finding the stakes was like, okay, this is suspect. But it could be any number of things. Yeah, 2 and 2 line up really nicely, but I wanted it to be like hitting you over the head with, oh look, she's got fangs and they're coming towards my neck. Oh shit.
No,
oh my god.
I waited, and in the moment I was like, you know what, I think the better reveal is going to be just to come right out and say it and then just go on from there. This was one of those sessions I liked where we got to see a lot of each of you. There wasn't a whole lot of dice rolling. It was more roleplay heavy. And I kind of want to let you guys work through at least the next couple sessions. I want you to determine what time of day it is, where you're going, and some of the weird stuff is going to happen around you. I don't want it to feel like you're on the rails. So I kind of see the next few sessions going like that. So be thinking, I think we still have that shared document, so you guys can add more stuff to that if you want. But I'm glad we did it this way, because I needed everybody to have a chance to react to the things that had previously happened, introduce a few little twists, and this was fun, as always.
It was great.
Great. A reminder for our players and to let the audience know, we will be taking a break next Thursday. Because I am heading to Toronto, Canada for a convention that weekend, and we'll be on the road. So we will resume on the 21st of March for session 9. So thank you everybody who tuned in, hang out with us. Thanks for all the looks like we had a couple hype trains from subs and bits and all that stuff, so thank you for that. And of course, as always, thank you to all of you in chat. And if you're somebody that likes to hang out in lurk in the background, or you're watching on the VOD later, we appreciate you. Hope you enjoy our presentation. And of course, the biggest thank you to the people who make this game what it is. These amazing players around the table, the virtual table here. Thank you to Chad, Tamiko, M, Carrie, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
How are you supposed to pronounce Toronto?